Hi, this is Easy Sunday Club, and oh, sorry. All right.
3, 2, 1, action.
3, 2, 1, action. Hi, this is Nam from Easy Sunday Club.
Hi, this is Cathy.
And today we're going to talk about Faire.
So what is Faire? It's pretty awesome, actually. It's an online marketplace that connects makers to small retailers and buyers. So think of Etsy, but instead of a marketplace for consumers to find unique goods, it's a marketplace for wholesale. Actually, I think Etsy tried to take a stab at establishing their own wholesale marketplace a couple years back, and they failed. So I think they closed it down after a year or so. But Faire is very much alive and thriving, and they have a huge, a pretty big base of makers and brands now.
Yep. And we have a lot to talk about. So we made, we're going to make 2 videos to go over the ins and outs in Faire. In this video, in parts 1 and 2, we're going to talk about first a little bit background about Faire. And in the second part of this video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons for the buyers/retailers. In part 3, which is going to be in the second video, we're going to talk about the pros and cons as a seller or maker on Faire. And in the last part, we're going to talk about additional considerations and final thoughts. So hope you stick with us for our journey about Faire.
So I've been using Faire for 8 months now. It's relatively new. Just in the last year or so, it's become a kind of a common name that us makers and retailers throw around, and most of the maker friends I know are on it now.
Yeah, and as a maker business or a business selling products, it was super exciting to us because one of the strength, we don't have the strong skill set yet of pitching to retailers and selling our products on wholesale.
And even if we do, it takes so much time out of a small business's day to do that.
Yeah, and we were like, okay, this is a marketplace like Amazon, but instead of selling to consumers, we're selling to these small mom and pop retailers.
Yeah.
Potentially this could really help our wholesale sales, right?
Yeah. But let's just get into it because we got a nice death by PowerPoint presentation for you guys, leveraging our previous corporate America experience.
Yeah. So we're going to turn really small, and then we're going to make the PowerPoint really big so you can follow along. And
screenshot if you need to.
Yeah, and let's do it. So what is Faire? So as we said, it's an online wholesale marketplace that connects small local retailers to new and unique brands and products, hopefully like the ones that you guys are selling. Who's it for? Small brick and mortar retail stores that don't have their own sales and purchase and buyer department. And for makers, emerging and even some established brands who are looking to grow their wholesale business. How do they make their money? Because they got to keep the lights on somehow. Well, they take a percentage commission of each sale that they make. For example, if you have a $100 order, then they'll take 25% of that, and that's how they make their money.
Yeah, so there's kind of no risk to joining because you're not paying a fee or a monthly subscription to be a part of it. But yeah, for every order, you do have to, as a maker, you have to pay Faire because they're the one that brought you this new customer.
And we wanted to tell you a little bit about the company just because it might give you some context of their incentive or where they are in their life. So they started relatively recently in 2017, and since then they've been growing like crazy. They have they're hiring all these employees. They have a $1 billion unicorn evaluation. And what they're focused on right now is they want to get more people to use the platform. So they want to get more buyers on there, and they want to get more sellers to continue to expand, and they're hiring resources in order to help them do that. As of August 2019, they've sold 10 million products and have over 40,000 retailers. So they're super aggressive, and they're continuing to try to grow. So now we want to double click on how it is for the retailer. So from a retailer buyer experience, it's pretty good. You have access to all these like unique products, and you don't have to deal with any agents and attend any trade shows or like read any line sheets and deal with cold emails and stuff like that. And because they want the buyers to get onto the platform, they have all these incentives to try to get them to join the platform and to purchase things. Some things that they have are like $200 store credit. They have free shipping on first orders. They have free returns on they have a return policy on first orders. If you think about it, when we have our wholesale clients, we usually don't offer returns, but they offer returns here.
Yeah, and they've recently started introducing or bringing on more international makers or even retail stores. So just think about the cost savings and not having to pay for shipping, at least for that first order.
Yeah. From a risk perspective, it's pretty good. There's standardized terms and conditions, net 60 payment terms. So you don't, like sometimes when you're dealing with all these makers, you have to deal with the administrative overhead of terms and conditions for each one of your vendors, and you don't have to do that here. There's also like a centralized ordering system and product line sheet that they have there to manage your invoices and your accounts with all these vendors, so having to set up each individual one. So with the admin costs, then that's greatly reduced. And like I said, there's lots of products on there, 8,000 makers and growing. There are some cons to it, and it's not so much cons of like keeping people away, but just kind of feedback that we have seen from other brick and mortar and buyers on the platform. One of the things that some feedback that we've gotten is like, hey, it's harder to develop these connections. Sometimes when you're in a brick and mortar business, you want to know who these makers are, where they're sourcing their stuff, how they're making this stuff, and you want to know about their story. In Faire, they want you to use, at least in the beginning, like this messaging app to deal with, to contact the makers. So sometimes it's harder to develop that long-term connection.
Yeah, they want to keep you in the platform, so it's going to be harder to find their email address or to try to reach out to them outside of Faire. And sometimes, as a retailer, you don't want to have to go outside of Faire if everything's already tightly organized for you on this website.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's like Faire is catering things to the buyers because, like I said, that's how they get their fees and get paid. And also, like by keeping it in this ecosystem, then it can prevent the buyers and the makers from just creating a side deal outside of the ecosystem and like bypassing Faire's commission system. So I get it; they need to get paid somehow. It's still a growing platform, so maybe there's not as many unique products out there yet, but it's growing. And there are some growing pains with Faire. We've heard of issues with customer service, not being responsive. Fee structures are subject to change. So it's with any like growing company, there will be change. There will be change.
Yeah, as a company this young and who's taken on a lot of funding, I think they've set pretty aggressive goals to grow their platform and grow their customer base, both on the retailer side and the maker side. And because of that, they're throwing out a ton of incentives that makes it really hard to refuse, right? Like I said, there's no risk to joining because you're not paying a fee up front.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think those incentives could also evolve, or they could remove some of them, change some of them so they're not as attractive down the road when they become more mature, which builds that extra urgency for people to sign on now before they go away. It's kind of implicit, but I feel like some of these incentives are too good to be true and too good to last.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lyft and Uber, like in the beginning they offered all these like free rides or 15%, 25%, but the company itself is not profitable, right? Yeah, right?
Yeah, and that's not their priority right now.
Yeah, they want to add as many users and drivers as possible, and then once they get everyone on there, then they will get rid of those incentives and try to become more profitable.
They'll work on retaining them. Yeah. And that's it from the retailer's perspective on Faire. Next video, which we are going to share our experience as makers on Faire, the pros and cons, and also some final thoughts on what we think you should do.
Feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and also if you have any thoughts or perspectives of being a buyer on Faire, we would love to hear from you because we would love to hear more from the buyer's perspective. So thank you very much.